If the icebergs melt, what's going to happen to the sea level? If you can get David Attenborough to narrate your video, you can have an A in the class.
Hello, class. It's me, nature documentary narrator David Attenborough. Now, to show you the dangerous effects of global warming, I will be using this glass of water and a singular ice cube. Now, as the ice melts, the water level will... Wait, what? Why aren't the water levels rising?
That's a great question, Mr. Attenborough. Let's talk about it. So why doesn't the ice change the water level? To understand that, I'd point us to the Renaissance, more specifically, Archimedes. Everyone knows the story of Archimedes, you know, the guy that noticed that his water was rising each and every time he got in and out of the bath. Well, we can actually draw some similarities between that situation and our ice cup. You see, when our ice hits in the water, it actually displaces the same volume that it takes up in the water, meaning that when it melts, the water that made up the ice cube is actually going to fill in that volume, and thus the water level won't change. But Aaron, I hear you asking, that ice is clearly sitting above the water. Why isn't that overflowing the cup? Well, to understand that, let's take a closer look at the structure of ice. Notice how in ice, the hydrogens are all lined up and squared, leaving large open gaps between the molecules. Meanwhile in water, it's all sort of bunched together and messy. Because of this, when ice melts and turns into water, that open space is filled in by other molecules of H2O, meaning that when the ice melts, that little portion that sits above the water actually fills in the empty spaces left in the gaps by the ice. But Aaron, I hear you asking, what about climate change and global warming? Is it all just a lie from our government to make us believe that the Earth is round when it's actually flat and has ice walls everywhere? No, the Earth is a blobfish and you cannot change my mind about that. But on this Earth, the polar ice caps act a bit differently. You see, on polar ice caps, ice and snow cover large land masses. These are called ice sheets, and these ice sheets actually sit above the water, not even displacing it, which means that they technically aren't adding their own volume to the sea level. But Aaron, I hear you asking for the third time, wouldn't the ice sheets melt and then add their water to the sea level, making it rise? Yes, exactly. However, you're not taking into account that it does rain and snow on the polar ice caps, meaning that these ice sheets are constantly gaining back snow and ice. However, Since global temperatures are rising, it means that the ice sheets are actually melting faster than they are regaining ice and snow, thus losing mass and giving more to the oceans, thus causing the sea levels to rise. So, to recap, ice in a closed environment, like in your drink, won't change the water level, meaning that you won't have to worry about spilling. But ice in the real world on polar ice caps specifically will be affected by outside sources like temperature, because that ice sits above the water and does not displace any with its volume. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Stay cool, and thanks for watching.